Hello, Shutter Squad. Welcome back to the One Behind the Lens. Today's episode is one I think a lot of photographers are going to feel in their bones because we're talking about pricing, confidence, and all the emotional stuff that sneaks into running a creative business, whether we want it or not. I'm sitting down with Jill C. Smith, family photographer, business coach, and host of the Business Focused Photographer podcast. And this conversation is honest in the best way. We talk about why pricing feels so personal, why imposter syndrome shows up so loudly in this industry, and why competition isn't actually the problem, even when it feels like it is. Jill shares her own journey with pricing, what aligned pricing really looks like, and why pricing can't exist in a silo. It's tied to your client experience, your marketing, your systems, and your goals. This episode isn't about quick fixes or formulas. It's about clarity, perspective, and building a business that supports your life, not one you constantly feel like you're apologizing for. If you've ever second guessed your prices, felt uncomfortable raising them, or wondered if you're doing it right, this one is for you. Let's get into it. Jill, thank you so much for being on the One Behind the Lens. This is so fun to have you.
It's really fun to be here. And as we found out, I like talking to you. So,
Yeah. I feel like we are, it's kind of like, when you meet somebody and you're like, did we know each other in another life or something? Because it's just
right?
very comfortable. That's
Right.
just kind of
Yeah.
how it
I
was. So I
feel that.
um So Jill, I kind of just want to jump into like kind of your origin story, really. Like your work has like I feel like looking at your work, it has a recognizable emotional warmth to it.
Know that practice where you write down the three words that you want your brand to embody,
Mm-hmm.
warmth and nostalgia and honesty. That's it for me. So I appreciate that that's working when you look at it. Yes.
Yeah. It's like it's definitely coming through. So I love it. And did you start like really like when you started, was that what you were hoping for?
You know, it's kind of like I think just the process of producing work and then figuring out what that common thread is between the work that you're really proud of. And I think specifically back to a photo of I was born in unexpectedly in my bathroom, in the bathroom of my childhood home. My mom delivered me herself. And
Wow.
yeah, and there is this photo of my grandfather holding me as a newborn in the dining room, and there the lighting, I think there's lighting coming in from the window behind him. It's a filmy, obviously it was film,
Mm-hmm.
but it has like the filmy tones, and it's not posed, but somebody probably did say, Al, go stand over there and or just look at the baby or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
um that is always kind of what I've been chasing, that feeling. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I want to create. I love creating things that I think that people are going to feel that way in the future when they look at the work. But thank you for asking about my work. I don't feel like that's what's interesting about me, but I love talking about the art too.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just really quick, also touch base. You're in the Catskills in New York.
Yep. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like when people think of the Catskills, they think of Dirty Dancing. Like if you're not maybe from the Catskills,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
feel
that
like that's what I think of.
and you know what's so funny is despite I did not grow up in the Catskills, but I did grow up in a suburb of New York City on the other in the other
On the
direction.
others.
So
Okay.
yeah, and um I knew the movie. I never knew it was in New York, let alone the Catskills. But yeah, it's
Really?
actually,
Okay.
yeah, it was supposed to have taken place. I don't know if it was filmed there or not, at a place called Grossinger's, which is only about 10, 15 minutes away from me. And yeah, we still have that. There's remnants of that time when this was a big travel destination, especially for Jewish families. And
Mm.
and that they're like the resorts. And I've done senior photos at abandoned resorts that are just like all graffiti and like you can walk in the swimming pool and it's kind of cool. But yeah,
Oh,
we do have
wow.
that history. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but do you have a lot of abandoned resorts then that
We
they were?
we yeah, we have an actual ghost town. We have this town
Oh,
called Parksville where the main highway here is 17, and you used to be able to drive right through Parksville, but you would come to a stoplight. And at the stoplight, there was an intersection, and there was a gas station, and this a restaurant, and a diner, and an ice cream place, and like people would stop and go into Parksville. And then once they realized like, oh, we can't have traffic lights on this interstate,
mm,
they rerouted, blew off the side of a mountain, and like then Parksville just like one by one every business just died. It was
oh,
like, I mean, there's people living in Parksville, but it is considered a ghost town. But yeah, we have almost all of our resorts are abandoned.
really?
Well, yeah, more or less the ones that were in operation during the Dirty Dancing days, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a booming tourist scene, especially since the pandemic. So a lot of
Mm.
but what those tourists are after are not the same thing that, Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey were after.
We're after.
Yeah. So
Sure,
it was
sure.
hipsters like things that are like uncomfortable, and there's like bad Wi-Fi and small. So they're not
Right.
our tourists now are not after the opulence and the creature comforts that, yeah.
That's what they were
Yeah.
looking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's more like people are coming now for the mountains, the
Mm.
what is like the quaintness and the rustic vibes, because they're trying to get away from the everything that is not that in
Right,
Brooklyn, Manhattan, and wherever.
right, right. No, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was just like that was off topic, but I was like,
No, but
I have to know.
fun to talk about. I
Yeah.
love learning about where people are and what the different areas are like, because it's interesting. It's
It
cool.
is, it is, and it's funny because so when I was a kid, I in like a senior in high school, I worked at a video store in my town, and people would always know I was working, even if they didn't see me, because you'd have like a video playing, like some movie or whatever be playing, and I always had Dirty Dancing playing. And it was
Oh.
one of those ones I just loved the movie, and we could only play up to like a PG-13, like we couldn't play an R, whatever. And I was like, well, it's PG-13. And because
Mhm.
some people they were like, do you ever get tired of this movie? I was like, I do not. Like,
Oh, how cool. Oh, so you've probably seen it like a lot more than I have seen. I think I've seen it like one and or
one,
maybe three-quarters of a time, maybe.
sure.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. Yes,
but it's
yes.
so which is so funny. So in like should we just talk about the old days instead? Because
I
when
know,
so
I
you're
know.
number one, I also used to work in a video store, but it was
Mm.
Blockbuster. It wasn't
Oh, yeah. See, this was like a,
you
I
had
don't
a
remember what it was
the
called,
mom
but
and
like more
pop.
of a, yeah, yeah.
We had one of them too in our town. It's called Ultimate Video. And before Blockbuster came in, and did you have the little room closed off with like beaded curtains of like all the porn?
See, we didn't have that. And I wonder if it's because it was a small town. I don't know. Like, but we didn't have that. It would
Yeah,
have been interesting to have and like watch the people that go through
right.
the
I know.
the
I
beaded
know.
curtain.
I have not. I still don't know what was beyond those beads. When I remember there was a Freddy Krueger poster near it, and he was
Mm,
what my nightmares were actually made of. And my
hmm.
brother and sister told me he lived in our garage, and I just
Oh
couldn't even look at
no.
his. I never even seen the movies, but I'm just so afraid of him. But anyway, yeah, I love that. I love that you had your tell of if Kate was working or not, and
Yes.
good times.
Yes.
That's so we have so many cool, funny things in common as the
I
video.
know.
Yeah.
I know. And I didn't tell you this on when I was on your podcast that so back when in my 20s I did I was in theater, and so I was in New York for a little bit of time, and I did do a show, and I cannot remember. I need to try to find. I was in the Catskills. We did a play. We like rehearsed it in New York, but then we went to the Catskills and lived there for like a few weeks and did it there. And then I do have where I thought I felt like I was in the movie Dirty Dancing, where a friend of mine who's a stage manager and her husband is props and things like that in New York, they got married like at kind of like a resort type place in the Catskills. And I did their photography. And I feel like it had something like moon in the title.
Yeah. The full moon resort out toward it's like between me and actual Woodstock. It's out in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that actual Wood so there's like all the Catskills education. So Woodstock, the music festival actually took place in a town called White Lake, which is 20 minutes from where I live. Woodstock,
Okay.
the town is about an hour and 10 minutes west of me. And that is not where the festival happened. But
Interesting.
the I think it's called the Full Moon Resort. It's a beautiful place. I've known people who got
Yes.
married there. It's yeah, it's out in that way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that
cool.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I have to tell you this. Like
I love this information. And you know what? This is important information for the listeners. But you know,
yes.
context is everything. And
Yes,
it,
yes.
yeah, we were just on when you were on my podcast, we talked about living, you know, where you live and how that informs different parts of your business, and for you, how it how it affects you as a luxury photographer. And so I do think it's helpful to paint a picture of what we're living in and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So kind of pivoting to like a little bit of the photography side. So you're both a family photographer and you're also a business coach,
Right.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like do those two roles inform each other? And how does the, you know, the educator in you influence the way you shoot and vice versa?
Well, I think what's great about both industries and like both sectors of maybe the same industry is that you can capitalize on being exactly you. And when you do that authentically, the right people will find you and your work will be enjoyable. And
Mm,
I think that I am not good at not being me. And I think that makes it easier for me to show up consistently for my families. And it makes it easy for me to show up consistently for my coaching clients. Uh, at the end of the day, they're both services. They're both, you know, not volume based either. So I'm not looking
hmm.
to cast a broad net. I'm always just trying to refine my messaging, be super clear about what I do and who I work best with, and the type of people who might be looking for me. And yeah, yeah, I think that it's like I know you watch Friends. Do you watch The Office?
I have only seen a few episodes of The Office.
So towards the end of when it was worth watching, Robert California comes in and he's being interviewed for this position as a manager of a paper company, but he comes from steel and like he worked from this large uh, corporation, and they were in the interview. They were like, "Well, Robert, how do you feel like your background is in this and you're used to managing this and selling this? How does that really translate to selling paper?" And he's like, everything is sex. Everything is this. And like, but he distilled it down to like, but he did say, like, it doesn't matter what I'm selling.
Hmm.
People want to be heard, people want to be understood. And I think that is the same whether I'm peddling my family photography or my coaching. It's like
Mm,
and that is achieved for me in my experience with my mediocre success as just showing up authentically, consistently, and then hoping that the right people find me and that and we can work together.
right, right. So so I'm guessing you started as a family photographer and then you built through that your coaching business.
Yeah, I am relatively new as a coach.
Okay.
Only a few. I've been mentoring people for a while, but officially, like 3-ish years, I've been offering like coaching services too on a more structured and there's I've been group coaching, but yeah, My family photography business, my photography business is far more established, far more profitable, quite frankly, than my
Sure.
coaching. But as you can see, I love talking about this industry. I love problem solving and working things out. And I love looking at another person's business and feeling, like, you know what, there's potential here that you haven't tapped into. And here's what I would do as an outsider
Mm.
who's not, it's hard to really understand your own business when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes getting those a third party perspective on it helps, and I love being that third party and kind of helping people think outside of the box. That's how I'm best creative. That's why I said, like, I don't feel like my work is that what's interesting about me. I don't think it's that. I think it's good enough, but it's not even what I think is makes me good. I think it's a bunch of these other things that make me good or
Well,
interesting.
sure. And that's, I know when we kind of talked about that on when I was on your podcast of like, and just being you and how making that person, how make them feel how you would maybe want to feel. And yeah, like maybe it's not going to be, there might be another photographer who has, you feel has better work, but are they making that, client feel the way you can make them feel?
Yeah, there's so many different layers of what goes into being uh, a a very hireable, be highly sought after
Mm,
photographer, and of just one of the smaller pieces of the puzzle is going to be your actual work. There's got to be a certain caliber of work. There's got to be a certain uniqueness that you don't want to be just copying and pasting what other people are doing.
mm-hmm.
But your professionalism, the amount of support you provide your clients, the quality of what you're putting out there, of the digital public facing part of your business, so your website, your social media, like what's going out there into the world, um, that's going to have a big impact on how many people want to hire you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
When you decided, because you were saying that you were mentoring and then you decided, like, okay, I'm gonna 3 years ago really start the coaching. What inspired you to do that? Were you just seeing like it needed, like there was a gap to fill?
It was, geez, I don't think there's much of a gap there, but maybe there is. Uh, I just like it. I just like it.
I
I
love
give,
that.
yeah, I give a lot of unsolicited advice. So if I can get people to solicit my advice, that's better. And it's even better if like I can make money doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I had appeared on a podcast, and somebody heard me and reached out to me and was like, "Do you do mentoring? I would really like to learn some." It was actually about how to grow um, an associate program. Was that it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was, it. I worked with her. I had mentored people locally before, but I worked. She was the first real stranger, and loved it. I loved it. I love people. I don't have that attitude where it's like I hate people. And like I'm not a curmudgeon about that.
Sure,
You know.
sure.
So I love working with people. And I think this can otherwise be a lonely industry. It can be a lonely
Mm-hmm.
job. So having people who are going through it with you and understand what it's like, and it's fun. It's all fun, right?
Right. Well, and I think we have like there's like this weird stigma like where if you're another photographer, you're like the competition. And even if you have the photographers in your hometown, the same town, whatever, you're really I had that at first, it was like, oh, they're my competition, but they really aren't. Like, and you're
Right.
gonna learn and grow by just being friends or friendly with them. Once I was doing like senior photography and I was going to conferences and things like that, I met a group of women. Is there 8 of us and or 7 of us now in a group chat every day. From we've been doing this for years, and we're best friends. Like we're not the group chat sometimes has photography business talk, but most of it is just life. Like what's going on. Pictures, one of them or two now are grandmas. And so it's like we're seeing pictures of grandbabies and it's such a great thing that I never actually, when I first became a photographer, thought I would ever have of like a community of women that we know, we all know what we're kind of going through and certain things. And then, yeah, just having those great
It's
relationships.
everything. It's everything. I have a group chat with the local photographers that I'm friends with, and then I share a studio with a local photographer who's become my best friend. And
Oh,
it's like it's so great. It is great. It's wonderful to have that community and to yeah, like take that part of you that feels insecure about your quote unquote competition and throw it away because it's not serving you.
mm-mm,
It's geez, like I don't know. I can't get on the saturated industry bandwagon because for starters, I don't feel like it's that saturated, but it's also like yeah, there's competition, and I told you an example of competition that's like actual, it's doing she's doing the work, but it's like so what? There, you have to look at the numbers. You have to understand the data, and it's something like 5% of people hire professional photographers, which is doesn't sound like a lot,
mm-hmm,
but if you like really break that down to what that means in your area, even for you, even for me, in a small area, that's still thousands of people,
mm-hmm,
thousands.
mm-hmm,
So there's the work is there and the churn is also there in the industry. People don't always stay as in your competition. And
mm-hmm.
furthermore, Kate, I think it's good to have competition to keep you on your toes,
Mm-hmm,
Otherwise we get complacent. We feel like we don't need to get better and we do. You need to
mm-hmm,
always be looking for ways to be a better photographer, better to flex with what the industry is needing and wanting, and what your market is needing and wanting. And
mm-hmm.
if you don't like it, then go work in an industry where you don't have to worry about competition. It's
Right. Yeah.
the
Yep.
name of the game, man.
Yeah. Well, and you even saying like say like 1,000 people in a small area are getting you're hiring, professional photographers. Well, what photographer can actually photograph 1,000 people
Right,
in 1 year? Or
right,
I mean, you'd be dead.
right. And
Like
and
I don't want to do that.
let's talk briefly about um if this feels like a problem for you, what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, number one, stop trying to be like everybody else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
stop buying the same posing guides and the same presets and looking at, like, if your feed is full of other photographers,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not going to serve you because number one, your brain's getting cluttered with everything that you think you should be doing and you're over inspired and you don't really you're losing sight of your true north of who you really are as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also feeling like you have this skewed perception of there being too many photographers. No, you're just
Mm-hmm.
following them all. Most people who are not photographers are following a handful of local photographers and that's
Sure.
it.
Right.
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 And they're maybe seeing them once in a while in their feed. It's not like us who are just like constantly getting fed like all of the best of the best around the country.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, and then you're like starting to compare yourself and you're, oh, they're doing this and they're all like say if someone is always putting something out every day or whatever and you're like, "Oh, I'm not up with my, getting my social media or yeah, there's just too much. I love
Noise.
social media, but it's also like I'm like, we're talking about back in the day, like Dirty Dan, movies and video stores. Like there's something about how simple life was at that as well.
Well, yeah, you want to talk about a rabbit hole, but like it's too much information. It's too much noise. We know too much about what's going on in the world. We know too much about what's going on, in our in our friends' homes.
Yes,
Like we
yes.
don't need to know so much, but we do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and guess what? Now what that means for you as an artist, as a marketer, as a solopreneur, service provider, is that you need to know how to stand out, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to know how to get and keep attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry.
No, no, that was
Right?
great. Yes. No, that was great. So Jill, you specialize in pricing. You're kind of like offer refinement, client experience, and marketing. Why do you think these areas are the ones photographers struggle with the most?
I think it starts with a I think it starts with imposter syndrome, and the natural way, the way that people come to be photographers for the most part is not because that they went to art school. And even if they did go to art school, they went to art school, not business school. So we come into this. And Kate, how did you end up as a photographer? I don't think I know this yet.
Well, I was a stage manager and in New York, and then I was gonna turn 30, and I was like gonna have to sign a new lease for my apartment, or I was like, or do I take a little break? And I decided to take a little break, and then other things happened in my life, and I was just like, because I came back to Nebraska, and then I'm just decided I'm gonna open up a studio. Like,
Right?
and it's not, there was other things that happened in there,
Sure.
but that's kind of like the short
Right.
version.
Yeah. For
So
me,
yeah,
it was
this was not on my radar at all.
same. Same. And I think this is the case for most photographers listening, is that this was not plan A,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of had to figure it out as you went along.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that built-in imposter syndrome that is so
Mm-hmm.
innate. I think that a lot of photographers now are women. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
women are even more prone to this. If you didn't go to school and get a degree for it, who am I to XYZ?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it takes a while to figure out that pricing piece. And by the time you figure it out, you have an established client base who's used to paying a certain amount of money, and
Mm-hmm.
that amount of money is less than you need to be asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So now also, as somebody who did not come at this from a business angle, from any sort of like with a marketing background or a sales background, anything like that. Now it's personal, right? Now we have these relationships that we've built. If you're a family photographer, if you're a senior photographer, if you're working with the same families now, some of the same people,
Mm-hmm.
it feels personal to raise your prices on these people if it's a significant price increase. But what choice do you have if
Right.
if it's that, or give it up and go back to working for other people? And then it's so hard, because then the other piece is, then what happens if I do this? Those fears are real. You
Mm-hmm.
have that potential for rejection. So
Mm-hmm.
now you're going through middle school all over again, where the the boy you like doesn't like you anymore, or you're out of the friend group, and like, and it's stirring up those feelings again, and you were never trained to learn how to navigate this emotionally, but also compartmentalize that this is not me. This is my business. This is my service. This is something else. This is unrelated to my relationship with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and understanding too, like the natural patterns within a market that are just playing out, that you are now a player in. There's just so many. I think it's a complicated, at least my opinion of why
Mm-hmm.
this is hard for photographers, in particular pricing. Um, it's complicated. There's a lot of layers to it, and it's almost 100% in our heads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I feel like too, because it's just for most, it's it's you're a one person business, so obviously you're setting the
Yeah,
price,
that too.
and that's always the thing where it's not like, hey, I'm working for somebody, and this is what I'm working at
Right, right,
Walmart, and this is what the price is. Like they're not going to get mad at me. They know that I didn't make the price,
right, right.
but they feel like they can talk to you about it because you are the you're one person, or you feel that way, or you're like you say that imposter, like, oh, I can't ask for that.
Right. It is like I've said before, it's like a post-it on your forehead. Like I made this price and it's my fault that you
Mm-hmm.
where we're also assuming that our clients all have the same relationship with money that we have and
Mm-hmm.
the same
Mm-hmm.
spending habits. And I think it's harder to imagine paying, maybe you're not your ideal client when it comes to what you need to charge.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is probably because you can do it, because you can
Mm.
do what you're about to, I don't go to a mechanic, I don't hire a plumber and judge them on what they're charging because I can't do what they're doing. I have
Right.
no idea. Like for the most part, I don't know what the industry standards are either. I know sometimes it's a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but I also know that I can't do what they're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
sorry, like it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it is you feel very much responsible for that. You can't say sorry, I had to raise my price. Some people like to do a thing where it's like, sorry, my accountant said I need to raise my prices, but like I will push back on doing things like that because I think it's only reinforcing this mindset that we need to be apologetic about being profitable, and we don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even I'm a high price photographer, you're a high price photographer. I don't know about you, but even as a high price photographer who's running her business legally, which means that I still am giving a lot of that money back to the government and I have a
Mm-hmm.
good amount of overhead that I'm paying every year. It's like I'm not swimming, I'm not like a Scrooge McDuck in a room full of coins, like just
Right.
swimming in it. Like
Right.
I'm living a middle class life that I'm very thankful for that I can do as in the way that I do is I love my job. I love being a photographer, but it's not like I'm getting, super wealthy just doing
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
so that's there's there's a lot that we can do for our industry
Mm-hmm.
to improve the state of affairs when it comes to profitability
Mm-hmm.
as photographers who are working in it. So that we can we photographers who are just starting out can spend less time being super not profitable.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
losing money really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What does healthy aligned pricing actually look like for photographers today?
Well, it's more than the math. It's more than just, we've all been told before, what's your cost of doing business, run your numbers. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
like as if it's this black and white thing where once you
Mm-hmm.
know that number, then you're magically, you know, there's so much more to it, Kate. So like a healthy aligned price for me is not going
Mm-hmm.
to be the same that it is for the next person over. Uh, you have to know a lot about your overhead. You obviously have to know what your expenses are and how much time it takes you to work with each client, and then what sort of business model you want to be working with. So I don't always advise my students that the price increase is an end all be all. Sometimes the slice of the market that they are working with at their price point is perfect for them and they don't want to leave that. So, but if you're not profitable at that price point, then something else on your top end needs to change. So then we need to look
Mm-hmm.
into how are you running your business? How much can we be more efficient with how much time you're spending with your clients? Can you cut back some of your software? Is some of your stuff doing can do this other work for you and you can cancel one of these subscriptions? Can you uh, make the circle in which you're willing to travel for work smaller so that you're
Mm.
more efficient this way? So we can look for ways to improve efficiency if a price or significant price increase is not right for our business. But
Mm-hmm.
it depends so much on your goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to be working with? Where do you want to be working? What sort of work do you want to be doing? Um, and then, every slice of the market, every price bracket has somewhat of a different culture, you know,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and there are certain common denominators that you're going to find and figuring out like who is most aligned with you and what you enjoy, like organically enjoy doing that you don't have to really go outside too far outside of your own comfort zone to accommodate these people. Um, it's I guess like moral of the story is it's always complicated, but
Right.
it's never this simple it's never this simple thing. Like, there was this Facebook group, and I'm sure it's still going. It was, I don't know if I should say the name of it because I'm not going to say nice things about it. But the whole point of the group was to call out cheap photographers and yell at photographers
Oh.
about being, and it was for photographers who don't do IPS. So there was,
Mm.
you came in to business during a time and before a time that where the big bone of contention was like, are you shoot and burn or are you IPS? And like,
Right.
we know who the bad guy
Yes.
is and we know who's ruining the industry and all that. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
so the point of
Mm-hmm.
this group was to take the people who were the quote unquote shoot and burners, which I am, by the way,
Mm.
the all inclusive photographers and shame them into raising their prices. But we never really in that group, they never really talked about how to do it and
How
why to do it. And
just
like,
they just shamed you.
no, everybody just got called out and like put on blast and like
Oh,
it's
wow.
real. I do think it's still going on. Um, but it was this obsession and it's become this talking point that a lot of photographers have where it's like they're undercutting us, they're ruining the industry, they're underpriced, they stole my clients, and all of these other things. It's like, give me a break. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is happening in every industry. Every
Mm-hmm.
industry has different price points.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like somebody else's price point is what's interrupting your business, then something else in your business needs work, and it's probably your
Mm-hmm.
marketing, and it's probably the your client experience, and or the actual work that you're putting out. But anyway, this was a big talking point. But people, the moral of their story was like, raise your prices after you know what your cost of doing business is. Here's a pricing calculator. And that's great. But there's so much that goes into raising your prices. You need to make sure that your client experience is in alignment with the price point that you're asking for
Mm-hmm.
so that the value's there, right? You need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that your marketing is aligned with this new price point, and that
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking to the correct demographic, because what's going to happen is you're going to raise your prices, you're not going to change your marketing, and you're still going to be speaking to the same people that you've always been talking to, except now you're at a price that they really can't afford, and nobody's booking me anymore. It's like
Mm.
all of these things need work. So um when one of the reasons that I have group coaching is because I set out to create a course on pricing, and when I started to write it, I was like, oh, it's you can't just teach pricing. You need to teach client experience. You need to teach offer suite refinement. You need to be teaching the marketing, and then also, of course, choosing the correct prices for your
Mm.
offers in ways that make sense for you and to people. So having the clarity there, make sure all of these things are in place when you raise your prices. You can't just do one of those things. It's the pricing does not exist in a silo.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And yeah, everybody is going to be different and out their business is is different.
Right. Yeah. We all have different goals. We all have different overhead. You have no idea what's going on inside of another person's business, how much money that they're spending or not spending on their business.
Right.
And maybe their entire goal is to make an additional $10,000 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they have the time to do that over the course of 50 sessions. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my time. That's not
Right.
my circus, right?
Right, right. Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, there are some you might think say, like, in a year, this is how much I want to make.
Right.
That might be different to to another person.
Exactly.
And yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So how has your own like relationship with pricing shifted throughout your career?
Oh, well, I think this is part of the reason I'm obsessed with it is that it was so hard for me. When
Mm,
I started off, like most people, I was $50.
mm-hmm,
And I'm thinking like I'm making $50 an hour. I left the
mm-hmm,
teaching
mm-hmm,
job where I was making 22.50 an hour. Like this is like I'm in it, man.
mm-hmm,
All I have to
mm-hmm.
do is book 50 sessions a week and like I'm good. But you do that and then you realize that's not and we talked about like burning the photos to a CD and then mailing it out and like the
Yes,
the least
yes.
efficient we've ever been and the cheapest we've ever been. But hey, it's part of the journey.
It
Uh,
is.
and then like I remember when I went from 50 to what I started to do was I was always experimenting with different ways to raise my prices because I knew I needed to, but without it hurting and without it feeling gross,
Mm-hmm.
without it being uncomfortable. So the first way that I did it was I added a $100 package. And I'm thinking like, well, it's there, but nobody needs to book it. Well, guess what? Everybody, of course, booked the $100 package.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the things that I did as part of that experiment that I don't necessarily recommend was I included prints, which then I had to go and self-fulfill because Pixie Set wasn't self-fulfilling yet. In fact, I don't even think
Mm-hmm.
I was using Pixie Set. So I thought, okay, let me add some value to make this $100 package seem worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
people did buy it. But then um, you get busier. And let me also say that when I was 50 and $100, my work reflected that. I was that was
Same.
about where I should have been priced. I'm not
Right.
saying I was like, oh, I was underpriced. I think I was probably overpriced, frankly. But this is all part of it where,
Mm-hmm.
it's and this is another reason that we don't need to be shaming people into raising their prices prematurely. It
Mm-hmm.
is all
Mm-hmm.
part of building this business. And then I went up to a $185, which felt really, really expensive. It really
Mm-hmm.
felt very expensive. But then you continue to get booked. You continue to get booked out at these price points and you get burned out. But you're
Mm-hmm.
also building your skill, you're building your
Mm-hmm.
client base.
Mm-hmm.
And this now is making it more challenging again to raise your prices because you have all these people that now you have in your Rolodex and that you want to continue to work with. But I'm like, I know that I need to raise my prices from 185 to 400.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, how do I do this effectively? So this realization, these are actual numbers for me, came when I started renting my first studio, and I had really solid bit of overhead. Now I had a big bill. Up
Mm-hmm.
until then, I was using I had I back when you could just buy Adobe once. It was on my computer, and I had it already. I had my camera, my 35 millimeter that I never took off of it. It was
Mm-hmm.
good there. I didn't really have overhead, but now all of a sudden I had rent to pay for the studio. So I was really forcing myself now to raise my prices. I opened the studio and I did a model call and it was free. There was no upfront cost, but nothing was included. And I figured this is a great way for me to build this part of my portfolio without any expectations from the client. I can do exactly what I want to do. And if they like it, they'll buy it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I set the prices. Uh, I was kind of ballsy. I set them higher. They were much higher compared of buying the digitals through the gallery. They're much higher than I had been selling even my sessions for, and people were going ahead and buying those galleries. So this was giving me a little bit of the evidence that I needed to know that hey, people are willing to pay this new price point. So then I was a $400 photographer. And I was much better as a photographer at this point and was really burning out. I was booking out a lot. My schedule was
Mm-hmm.
full. And I did the thing. I ran my numbers because now I was buying better equipment. I was investing in more software. I had a studio. I had genuine overhead now. And when I ran my numbers after that first year, I was $5,000 in the green. So I had not lost money, but I worked my ass off. I netted $5,000 was awful, awful because I had babies at home at the time and I was leaving them to do all this work. I was working nonstop and it was not profitable at all. So I needed to double my prices. But how do I double my prices as an all-inclusive photographer from $400 to $800? So what I did at this point was I went to a session fee model. So for a $200 session fee, which is a nice, low, very comfortable buy-in for people, They could work with me, and then their digitals would be purchased separately. And when all was said and done, if they bought all the digitals, then they would have spent a total of $800 with me. And wouldn't you know it, I stayed very booked, and like 95% of the people purchased the whole gallery. So now I had that confirmation that I could charge $800. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went back to an all inclusive model and have since continued to raise my prices incrementally as my never ending expenses have grown. And I get these nice big tax bills that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned since, and but it was never easy, and it's still not easy. Even when I need to like raise my prices by $50 or something like that, it can be an awkward conversation. So those are the ways that I actually raised my prices, but it doesn't mean that I didn't lose clients along the way. And it didn't mean that I avoided the all of the discomfort that can go along with it.
Right, right.
Sorry, that was a long story.
No, that was good. And I think, I mean, the photographers that are listening are gonna really take that's gonna be great information. I was wondering, I was thinking that there might be a photographer out there that is wondering if you could let us know kind of what is an all-inclusive session. Like when you say all-inclusive, what does that entail?
Yeah. So for me, people pay a retainer when they book with me, which is 25% of whatever the total session fee is. And for me, that is a $1,200 session. So they pay $300 to book. Um, we plan the session just like we would anyway. I mostly shoot outdoors, but sometimes it's in the home. I photograph them. I do digital delivery within 2 weeks. After the session, I bill them for their balance. And then that's it. I've had moments of like, I'm leaving money on the table when I've had clients who, in addition to the $1,200, go and spend $900 on prints in their gallery. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
I have literally just about changed my business model because of things like that happening where I feel like, I'm missing out. That so many other people would be doing that. But what I've learned, Kate, is that the people that I work with, the people that hire me, they do print their photos on their own. They do. I've been in their homes. They're hanging them on the walls. They're getting their albums made. They're not like me. They're following through. And when I've experimented with other ways, like if I have a mini session event or a model call, those are not all inclusive. So
Mm-hmm.
people get something like a $200 gallery credit, which is equivalent to 5 digitals. They
Mm-hmm.
can apply it to other packages and buy the whole gallery, and I can upsell them there. But what I have found, there's a couple of issues that I have personally had, and a lot of it has to do with me and my own lack of organization and the type of people that like to work with me. Is that one, people drag their feet with placing an order. So I like a few times during the time that I was a session fee model, I had people who just flat out did not place an order.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, like when that happened, like in the middle of October, like I could have sold that spot 5 times. I really didn't
Mm-hmm.
need somebody to come and do that and only make $200 off of it. And the other thing that happens is people are just like, I kind of just want all the photos. The way that I shoot, those photos are part of a story. So
Mm-hmm.
they really ought not to be separated. I in my
Mm-hmm.
studio, I do a session fee because those
Mm-hmm.
photos can exist on their own. They can stand on their own
Mm-hmm.
2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like my family sessions, all those photos belong together. And
Mm-hmm.
I also, as a parent, um, have done this thing where, when I think of which photos are my favorite at the time that I get them delivered back to me, 5 years later, I look back and the ones that I didn't love are always so superficial. It's like because I had a double chin or something like that. I'm like, oh,
Sure. Yes. Yes. No, I
why?
know that.
I was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like, I love this photo. Look at the way my daughter's looking at me. And like, so
Mm.
I don't want, I like to make sure that people have that opportunity to, with the photos they get from me, is they'll be able to enjoy them forever. And
Mm-hmm.
as what their own standards evolve of themselves and the way they look back. But I don't think that this model is necessarily right for every sort of photographer, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because those reasons wouldn't stand for like a senior photographer, a headshot photographer, anything like that. It doesn't make sense, but that's why it makes sense for me.
Sure, sure. Well, and really for like my scene, the reason I have changed to like I did the all inclusive for seniors, like all of my packages are all inclusive. It just really is like time wise. That's how kind
Right.
of how I price it.
Yeah.
And it was because I was doing the in-person sales and it would it was just kind of torture for everyone because you're looking like I had it where you kind of build your own package, but I had where parents were like, can't we like we just want all of the photos, you know? And so trying and then that's basically I had at least 2 years of dealing with that with people in the studio and they were just having a hard time choosing even if it was like say 50 images for their book and then they got to keep those in digital format if there was say there were 50 more that they had to throw away they that was just really hard for them so that's
Right.
why I went to the all inclusive where you're not, they still they're getting basically all the proofs. Like I kind of thought about it as when I was a senior, like my session included all these proofs. I mean, they were prints back then, but they weren't touched up where then the ones we purchased, like the one my parents purchased to put on their wall, like my skin did not look like a 17-year-old. Like, it was nice and touched
Yes.
up.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I decided to do mine, where I didn't want people to be like, I don't want to lose all of this, but
Right. Right. I do. I love that my clients can revisit the photos over
mm,
time and
hmm
yeah, but I see the merit in every business model
oh
and
yeah, same.
yeah, I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what and like on my end, like my you you've observed enough by now to know my executive functioning is not my strength. And so anytime I've needed like multiple steps and things where I need to follow through to do things to deliver what I promise to my clients, that's a recipe for disaster. So I like to keep it simple. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do I assess my market every now and again. Like so like I just straight up ask people like, what do you want? Do you want to start
Mm-hmm.
having this include? Like, do you want this? Because as a family photographer, 60% of my work every year is repeat people. Like, so
Mm,
it's all the same people I'm working with. Um,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, so people love the digitals. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, like I said, I think it has a lot to do with the way that I shoot. They just,
Mm,
they're stories.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not to be corny, but yeah, it's like, it really is my goal is to pull that out of each session.
So going back into coaching and like business growth, um, tell us just a little bit about your coaching, your group coaching program, and what transformation does it offer photographers who want to get maybe a little bit serious on the business side?
Right. So my group coaching program is called The Next Step. And it evolved from this idea I had to create a an asynchronous course on pricing, where then I realized like, we really there's no one size fits all formula. I really need to be talking to people individually.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been a part of group coaching programs. I love it. I think there's like an incredible thing that happens where even there's the teacher, you have this whole the hive mind effect of everybody being able to throw in their 2 cents and collaborate on and problem solve that way. And I loved that. So the next step and by the way, of course, when you offer group coaching, you can price it less. It can
Mm-hmm.
it can
Mm-hmm.
be more affordable. So, in the next step, we go through offer suite refinement, your marketing, your the actual price itself, your client experience. We get all of that aligned so that whatever that next step is for you, for your business, whatever you need to be doing to grow your business, you can do that effectively in a way that makes sense for you, in a way that's comfortable for you. In the next step, that is what we do over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. The program has kind of shifted, and I'm still always like tweaking to figure out what makes the most sense. But in lieu of this specific group coaching program in 2026, or not in lieu, I should say, in addition to it, I am offering group coaching in a much more accessible way where it's monthly group coaching roundtables with a loose theme. So we'll be meeting on the last Tuesday of every month, where we talk about different topics. We're going to, one month we'll be talking about marketing, another one we're going to be talking about client experience. But we're for $30, people can join if it's a topic that they feel works well for them or something they need help on. And then if they like working with me, they can always enroll in a longer commitment. But
Mm-hmm.
it might also just be the quick fix that they need to solve a single problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm. And I think sometimes the group aspect isn't as scary, and then they might get to know you a little bit, and then they're like, oh yeah, I do want to do like a one-on-one type thing.
I think that's exactly what happens is for a lot of people, if it's their first experience in some sort of education program, there is a level of intimidation. You don't know what to
Mm-hmm.
expect. You don't want to be put on the spot. Do you have to answer hard questions about your business? Do you have to be vulnerable? And
Mm-hmm.
if you can feel comfortable with that coach, with that educator, then it's not so scary anymore.
Right, right. Well, before we do, like, I have a couple more little segments to, and I told you about the one.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, can you just tell me where photographers should go to, like, maybe a little bit dive deeper a little bit with you, and where to find you?
Sure. So I have a podcast. It's called the Business Focused Photographer Podcast. I have an Instagram account by the same name, the Business Focused Photographer, a Facebook group by the same name, and the website, thebusinessfocusedphotographer.com. But if you want to check me out as a photographer, that's Jill C. Smith Photography. I am the only one because of that little middle initial there. So that helps. You'll be able to find me easily. And that's the same name on Facebook, Instagram, my website, all of that. But yeah, come and check me out. I am clearly a chatty gal. So if you want to hop in my DMs, I'll answer questions. I'll work through problems that you're having. I love talking shop with other photographers.
Love it. And I know you had a little like a little freebie for listeners, and that will go into that link. I'll put that in the show notes. So
Yes, because I don't know the link off the top of my head, but
yeah, yeah. We'll put it we'll put it in the show notes, and it'll be easier for people just to click it anyway. So
but what that is it's a tool for raising your prices, and it's something I call VIP sessions. It's something that I've implemented in my own business and continue to. When you are facing a really large price increase and you're concerned about losing clients, um, offering a private VIP session structured intentionally. There's a lot of parameters that I believe need to be in place to do this effectively so that you don't resent your clients and they're still getting a great value. This is a great way to graduate some people to your new prices or to retain those clients who will never ever pay your new prices. So it's a
mm,
win for everybody. And I will share my guide with you for running your own VIP sessions.
I love that. That's awesome. I can't wait to check it out myself.
Yeah, yeah, I'm proud of it. I think it's a really great thing to have in your back pocket for your favorite clients.
So I want to do a few rapid fire quick answers. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then just whatever comes to mind, just throw it out there.
And I'll be rapid. I promise, no tangents. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. So, family sessions or business coaching, which feels more like home?
Business coaching. Although family sessions make me more money, so
Yeah, but there you go.
yeah.
Favorite piece of gear or favorite business tool you can't live without?
It is my I'm a Nikon shooter. My my 51.2. I almost switched to Canon years ago because Nikon did not offer anything 1.2. And as soon as they rolled it out for mirrorless, I bought it and I have been obsessed with it ever since. I love it so much. I want all of their 1.2 lenses now.
Hmm. A dream location to photograph a family or host a photography retreat.
Don't want to host a retreat. That seems like a lot of work.
It
Um,
does. It does.
a dream location. I live in a pretty beautiful place. We have a lot of really nice locations that I go to often. I don't have any like really giant flower field. No, maybe I do have those. I mean, I'd love to shoot like in Montana. Montana
Mm,
has a different kind of beauty than we have, and I think that would be really cool. Or like or the Scottish Isles, like that sort of with the rolling
sure.
the I think I love pastoral and a lot I like a lot of dimension in my landscapes.
Got it. Got it. If your, well, like your creativity, like your business style, like your creative business style were a movie genre, what would it be?
Oh God. I almost said something so inappropriate. Um, won't say that. Oh God. Like what's like a dramedy?
I love it. I love it. I feel like a lot of us go towards the go towards that one.
Yeah, yeah. You have to laugh. You have to laugh.
Yes. So going into the laughing, Jill, I want to have you step into the photo confession booth.
Love this. I love it.
So, what is like a hilarious, unexpected, or a blooper from a session, coaching moment that you would like to confess?
So I have this thing where my whole life I've been really bad at recognizing people. And it doesn't really bode well for somebody whose job is to stare at faces, right? And so you would think, Kate, that I spend an hour or two photographing somebody. Um, and then I go home and I spend more hours staring at their face and zooming in on their pores and everything like that. And then I work with them again and I do it over and over again that I would recognize them, especially in context where I'm expecting them. So I had this woman and I photographed her as a senior. I photographed her maternity with her first child and then again when her baby was a newborn. And then she booked me for a maternity shoot in my studio when she was pregnant with her second child. Uh, she's local to me. She's like my Facebook friend, so I see her face there too. So I had two back-to-back maternity sessions this day in my studio. And I had them mixed up in my head who was coming in first. And when she came in, I called her the name of the other person. Like here's what threw me off. She dyed her hair. Like she went from dark blonde to medium blonde. Like it wasn't this big transformation, but it was enough for me to be it may as well have been like a Groucho Marx disguise with like the glasses and the mustache and the big nose. Like that was all it took for me to not know who she was. And I called her the wrong name for 45 minutes before something and like she has her child. So that's like an identifier of like I should know who this baby is. And like all of a sudden I got this like, wait, is this actually Mackenzie and not Brianna? And I just like casually walked over to my computer. Thank God we were inside and I had like this information opened up on my desk. And I'm like, oh my God, Mackenzie, I'm so sorry. I've been calling you Brianna for 45 minutes. You didn't even correct me. And I am
Right.
such a jerk. I am so sorry. So that is like, that's one of the more recent blunders I've had, but it is so not the only one. I am the worst. I have things that are much worse and much more embarrassing, but that was the most recent one.
Recent one.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny that she didn't ever say, hey,
Yeah.
she just didn't want to.
A lot of people I've not corrected other people like when they've called me the wrong name before. I don't know. It's something that some people just
We just, yeah.
yeah, because I hate calling people the wrong name. It's like one of the things it's one of the reason I ask people how to pronounce their name when I'm
Mhm.
onboarding them. It's like I'm a former ESL teacher, so I've gotten like it's important to me to pronounce people's names correctly and call them the correct name. And
Mhm.
I, so I think like if I were in her shoes, I might have also been like, I don't want to embarrass
Have to
her.
correct.
I'm
Right,
just
right.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
I'm gonna let this go because I know how embarrassing that is.
Sure.
And she was so sweet and she's so gracious. Like she's booked me more since then and she's the sweetest thing ever. But yeah, I did that. My brain is missing. There's something missing. I don't know.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know
There
that
you
little. So
go.
then photographers, like if we all have something or we're all humans, so
Yes.
it's
Yes.
Okay.
Some of
Yeah.
us more flawed than others. Yeah. It's and so if I ever bump it, like literally bump into you and I'm acting like I don't know who you are, it's because I don't. It's because I don't. So don't take it personally.
Ah, Jill, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was such a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, Kate. It was really fun to talk to you again. I
Yeah,
enjoy you a
yes.
lot.
Yes, this has been great. If that conversation hit a nerve, you're not alone. What I loved most about this episode is how validating it was. That pricing is emotional, that confidence is built, not assigned, and that being profitable doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Jill reminds us that pricing isn't just about numbers, it's about alignment. Alignment with your time, your energy, your clients, and the kind of business you actually want to run. And I hope this episode gave you permission to stop comparing, stop apologizing, and start making decisions that feel grounded and intentional. If this conversation resonated, I'd love for you to share it with a photographer friend who's quietly wrestling with pricing or imposter syndrome. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you actually doing? Make sure that you are, because we're continuing these honest behind the scene conversations about photography, business, and everything that comes with them. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you next time, right back here on The One Behind the Lens.